Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's your boy So, and welcome back to another Heat playoff post game recap. This is about game 3 against the New York Knicks at home in Miami. Heat getting an amazing victory. Man, what a start and finish. Now, my instant reaction to this game is we should be up 3-0. That's my instant reaction to this game. We should be up 3-0 right now in this series, but the refs kind of wanted to hate on us in game 2, so we had to come out here in game 3 and really show out what Heat basketball was about. And a lot is going to be made about the return of Jimmy Butler to the lineup, which is obviously huge, but this game was the quintessential Heat basketball game. It wasn't pretty offensively, but it was damn near amazing on defense. When you talk about the defensive effort that was put forth by the entire team, not just Jimmy Butler, the entire team, it really showed. And the Heat walk away with the victory, 105-86. This game was never really in doubt. We knew that they were going to have a spark with having Jimmy back, and that totally showed out in the first quarter, right? We end up the first quarter being up by 11, and the Heat never looked back from that. They had an 11-point lead at one point in that quarter, end up going up 8. Heat never looked back, and a lot of that had to do with Jimmy's aggressiveness from the get-go, and we knew he was going to be aggressive. But what I want to focus on this instant reaction is this Heat team is really showing us something that we did not see throughout this entire regular season, and that is stifling defense. This is the second game in this 3-game series so far that we hold Jalen Brunson, one of the best offensive threats, to 0 for 5 shooting night from beyond the arc. Julius Randle joined him in that category, being 0 for 5 as well. When you look at the highlights of this game and you look back, what you're going to see is the Heat really, making a conscious effort and a conscious decision as a team to say, you know what, we're going to take away their first and second options and make these guys shoot bad shots. And a lot of the times, that's what the Knicks put up. They put up bad shots, right? Where they either try to dribble and drive or pick and roll. And the defensive effort from the helper was the biggest issue that was really hurting the Knicks, because the one-on-one matchups is always important, but when you have that second defender coming in and that second defender is really able to put a lot of pressure and close off passing lanes, right? Close off the paint, force the team to shoot more threes. That's always going to bode well for a team like the Heat, because that's what we want to do. We want to force the other team into bad shots so that we can get the rebound and get out on the break. Now, neither team shot offensively, right? The Heat were 38.9% from the field. Knicks postseason low 34%. And and especially from 3, right? Both teams chucked up a lot of threes. There were 72 threes between both teams and only 17 made between both teams. But like I said, this game was more about who can get better possessions and who can play the better defense. And the Heat's defense was incredible today. It was literally incredible. I have to give a big shout out to Bam Adebayo, because Bam, he put a lot of emphasis on himself after that game 2 loss and say, I have to play better and really have to come out and show out. He was great. He didn't have 20 points or 30 points tonight, but he was great. He shot 50%, made 75% of his free throws, had 12 rebounds, 4 offensive rebounds, just being active, and ended up with 17 points. And if you get that effort from Bam on offense, with the addition and that he gives us normally day in, day out on defense, just shows you that he doesn't necessarily have to be the offensive weapon that people expect him to be. Can he do it? Sure. He has flashes here and there where he can put up the 25 points, a 30-point game occasionally. But his thing is more creative and being a disruptor, and he really messed with Julius Randle. He kept Mitchell Robinson in check, Hartenstein in check. Both of those guys that I mentioned ended up with 8 rebounds total, and these are the starting centers for the Knicks. It's definitely what Bam is here to do. Is here to play excellent defense, be a big man down low on defense, be that athletic, defender that he can be, and it really worked out for us today. One thing that really stood out for me, right, was the free throw disparity. Last game I was calling for the Heat to really get to the line, right? Even though Jimmy Butler was out there, was not playing in game two, I felt like we didn't do enough to go at the basket. This game was very different. The Heat really attacked the paint and tried to make their presence felt in the paint. This is the first time all season that we out rebounded the Knicks, whether in the regular season or in the playoffs, 50-48, which is not a huge disparity where you're like, oh wow, so they didn't really out rebound them by that much. But it's the offensive rebounds, it's the timely rebounds, right? Not giving the team a second chance at a good look to make a three, to make a shot, to get an and one, and keep the game close. And like I said, this game wasn't really close because the Heat controlled the game the entire game, literally won all four quarters. The Knicks never led at any point in this game. And I think the closest that they got to was 9 points. That just shows you how dominant this team was today. That the Heat had. Caleb Martin didn't really have a great game as far as offense, but his defense and his ability to close off passing lanes was huge. Kyle Lowry, he really stepped up today. I felt like his 14 points really contributed to the offensive side, where we're not playing him starter minutes. He only had 25 minutes, but he was effective. 4 of 9 from the field, hit 2 threes, perfect from the free throw line, had 4 assists, 3 rebounds. A complimentary effort obviously doesn't match his price tag and what he's getting paid, but in the playoffs you don't really look at that, right? You're looking at contributing efforts, and we got that today. Now of course the star of today's game on either side of the court was Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler came in and did everything and anything that he wanted. He was 9 of 21 from the field, including 10 of 11 from the free throw line, had 4 rebounds, had 3 assists, included 2 blocks, and only had 2 turnovers in the entire game. That's the classic Jimmy Butler game. And this guy is averaging 36 points in this playoffs. He's also leading the entire playoffs with his fourth quarter average. He's averaging about 12, 13 points per fourth quarter, excuse me. This just shows you how clutch and how real playoff Jimmy is. And had we had him in game 2, I don't think that it would have been an even close game, right? The way that the Knicks played and the way that the Heat played and the type of contributing efforts that we got from the bench. Now, when you look at the team stats again and you look at the defensive rebounds again, 37-34, just shows you that even with the size, right, advantage that the Knicks have, if the Heat are able to deploy the defensive schemes and their planning and make that defensive rebound a collective team effort, it's just going to negate all the size that the Knicks have. And, we saw it in the fourth quarter where they were forced to go smaller and try to match up with the Heat to try to get some type of rhythm going for themselves offensively. If you would have told me like, hey, the Jimmy Butler's gonna have 28 points, we're really not gonna get a lot from anybody else, and we're gonna hold all the defensive the star players for the Knicks in check for the entire game, it's like, yeah, that's not too believable because we know how explosive the Knicks offense can be. But today it was just dead in the water, and a lot of that had to do with the credit to the defense that the Heat played. Julius Randle ended up with 10 points. Brunson, that I mentioned earlier, he had 20 points. RJ Barrett 14 points, and those are the main offensive weapons that the Knicks have. They totaled 44 points today. That's not going to be enough to beat this Heat team, especially when we're firing on all cylinders on the defensive side. We ended up with 3 steals today. We are very active as far as, like I said, closing the passing lanes, and I mentioned that repeatedly because that's how you beat a team like this. You close off the easy pass. You force them to move the ball around. You force them to try to shoot more threes, which they did, and they did terrible at as a team. Knicks were 8 of 40 from 3 at 20%. One of their worst performances that they've had all season from 3 and in the playoffs. And all of that is credit to how the defense played them. The Heat got to get to their matchups on offense, which obviously boded well for them, and allowed them to continue to build the lead. But every time the Knicks made some type of small run, hit a couple of baskets or whatever, the Heat always had an answer. And man, it's impressive to see this team really playing at this high level, because we didn't see it at all throughout the regular season, which is crazy to say that the Heat are in a commanding 2-1 lead, could have been up 3-0 in this second round, as an eighth seed. A lot of us Heat fans didn't really anticipate us being an eighth seed. We really thought we should have been a fourth seed, or maybe, third, maybe at the worst fifth seed. But being an eighth seed is kind of like really motivating this team to kind of go out there and prove how good they can be. Now, we have to give a big shout out to Max Strus. He had a great start to his game. Ended up with, I think it was 9 points in the first quarter, really setting the tone for himself. He ended up with 19 points. And his aggressiveness today was really on point. Usually Caleb Martin is the guy who's more aggressive as far as shooting the three ball, getting to the rim, attacking whenever the defense slacks off him a little bit. But tonight, or this afternoon, it was Max Strus, and we need these type of performances from the role players, because if we get the normalness that we get from Bam, right, in the 17 points and 12 rebounds, that just leaves the door open for somebody else in that supporting cast to step in. Last year it was the unsung heroes, right? We shouted them out almost every episode where we covered the Heat, and he's definitely the unsung hero of this game, because his ability to create space on the floor, or take advantage of the space that's being created by Jimmy and Bam and their pick and rolls, it really helps this team, find another gear, find another set of points. And it's very impressive to have it come from yet another guy, right? We've seen Gabe Vincent have a really important game for us this series. We've seen Max Strus have an important game today. The dude I mentioned earlier, Caleb Martin, Kyle Lowry, hell, even Cody Zeller today. He had an impact on the game, right? Where he came out and had 6 defensive rebounds. Caleb Martin had 5 rebounds. It was a team effort today. And we knew at some point that the high scoring games between these two teams were going to slow down, and it was going to get into that nitty gritty defensive matchup. And the Heat totally knocked out the Knicks when it came to that, because their defense, the Knicks defense, was non-existent today. Honestly, the Heat could have played a bit better, and we would have been into the 120s yet again in this series. It's super strange for me, because this is not an offensively gifted team, but when they get the ball rolling, especially on the defensive side, it just creates so many opportunities for this Heat team to kind of build leads and really get away from the opposition. Now, one thing that I have to mention is, the biggest advantage that the Heat have in this series is the coaching advantage. Coach Spoelstra has done an excellent job of not only setting up his starting lineups, but really being, masterful when it comes to who he brings in and at what point and for what purpose. A lot of us don't see the game in that manner because we're not coaches, right? And we're not trying to micromanage that basketball team. But Spoelstra is really doing a great job of finding the matchups, finding the defensive units to put out there on the floor and really make things harder for the Knicks to execute anything on the offensive side. It was an out and out impressive victory. Like I said earlier to start the show, I think that this series could have easily had the Heat up 3-0, because even in that game 2 loss, we were in it, with under 2 minutes to go, and we even had a lead. This game was a complete dominance, and I don't think that the Knicks themselves were ready for it. They weren't ready for Jimmy's return, and it was evident because they had nothing to offer us as far as a threat today. I really think that Brunson is an important key figure for the Knicks. Again, he had 20 points today for them, but that guy shot 20 times today, 7 of 20 from the field, 0 for 5 from 3, hit all 6 of his free throws, had 8 assists. Without that guy, the Knicks really don't have anything else going for them today. So it could have been an even bigger loss for them. I just think that the Heat are finding ways to attack those guys, Julius Randle, RJ Barrett now, and just completely neutralize their offensive threats against us. Game 4 is on Monday, and I really feel confident about this Heat team going to the finals. It's crazy to say that, because regardless of who they would face, is it whether it's Philly or Boston, the way that this Heat team is playing, they're playing like the best team in the playoffs. The best team in the playoffs. When you look at their offensive ratings, when you look at their defensive ratings, how good they've been taking care of the ball. They only had, I think it was 13 turnovers today. Excuse me. Yeah, 14 turnovers. And even still, the Knicks only were able to get 9 points off their turnovers. Reverse that. The Knicks had 13 turnovers today, and the Heat were able to get 16 points off those turnovers. That's huge. Another battle that was huge was the points in the paint. The Heat had 50 points in the paint today against this Knicks team. That's not something that is very common, because obviously their size and their length on the defensive end can cause a lot of trouble for the other teams. But Bam Adebayo really came out and exerted his will in the paint early on and let the Knicks know, like, hey, I'm going to be in here a lot, making a lot of trouble and a lot of noise for you guys. And Bam, credit to him again, just being comfortable in the paint, being aggressive, not settling, and that type of playoff mode for him is what we want to see. We don't want, a lot of people are wanting to him to score 25 points a game and be more of an offensive threat, but that's not what he is. If you think about it, Bam's always been the third offensive option on this team. You got Jimmy, you got Hero, and then it's Bam, and then you want everybody else on the supporting staff to come out here and contribute something in the game to kind of help us push over that W over the line. This Heat victory was impressive. A classic Heat victory too, where we shut them down on defense. We don't have to score a lot of points, and we end up walking away with a damn near 20-point victory at home. I don't know what the Knicks are planning for game 4, but I don't think it's going to work because they look defeated. Jalen Brunson, again, tweaked his ankle. Julius Randle looked completely all out of sorts. RJ Barrett didn't look comfortable. We saw Quickly go down with an apparent knee injury. He's important for the Knicks off the bench, and I don't see them bouncing back from this loss, because it was a demoralizing loss for the Knicks, right? Because you got beat down from the tip off. You don't win a quarter. You don't win, you don't get a lead. And even in the fourth quarter, where things got a little bit ugly on both sides of the offensive ball for the Heat and the Knicks, the Heat still won the quarter 18-16. The Knicks only had 2 points for about the first 5 minutes of the fourth quarter. Think about that. 2 points in the first 5 minutes of a very important fourth quarter, where you would expect them to kind of come out with a little bit more firepower and try to make a run to close the gap and make the game close. They had nothing today for the Heat, and the Heat had all of the answers for the Knicks today. What an impressive victory. We get more pizza mañana tomorrow. So while you guys are watching your F1 race and watching the rest of the games in the NBA docket, make sure to order that, courtesy of Pizza Mañana. If you don't know the code, holla at your boy. Your boy will send it to you on the DMs. But yeah, this victory was very impressive. Another victory at home. Heat are 6-1 when it comes to Jimmy playing on the floor in the playoff run. It's been a very surprising ride so far, and I don't see it ending anytime soon, people. I don't see it ending anytime soon. Game 4 is on Monday, like I said, 7:30 tip-off. It's going to be on TNT. Your boy's going to continue to bring you these type of post-game recaps every Heat playoff game, which I have the feeling is going to go on for a while, which I'm super excited about. I know you guys are as well. We take a commanding 2-1 lead, and now it's time to get another victory at home. Really put this Knicks team in a terrible position. Historically, the team that wins game 3 in a series goes on to win the series 60% of the time or more. And by everything that I saw today, I don't really think that the Knicks have any type of answers or anything new that they're going to be able to throw our way, to kind of knock the Heat off their strong foot. As long as Jimmy's healthy and continue to ball in these playoffs, the Heat are going to go very far. And if I'm Boston or Philadelphia, and I'm kind of looking over my shoulder to say, damn, we're going to have to face that Heat team if they advance. Like right now, we're that team that nobody wants to play. And the Knicks are kind of stuck in this series. man, originally I had us winning in 6-7 games, but now I'm really starting to believe that Heat in 5 talk that's been floating around on Twitter for these past couple of days, because if we get another performance like this from the Knicks, there's no way they're heading back to New York to push this to 6 games. The Heat are so experienced, so focused on getting to the next level, playing every game as if it's a game 7. And if the Heat end up going to New York with a 3-1 lead, man, it's gonna be good night, New York. Well, this has been an amazing recap. I'm sure you guys are excited as I am. I'm getting ready to go have a celebratory drink. My choice of drink is whiskey. So let me know in the comments what you were drinking to celebrate this Heat victory, and continue to stick with us. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel, hitting that like button, dropping comments to let us know how you guys are enjoying this and how you guys are enjoying this Heat playoff run. Until next time, it's your boy So. Peace.